Greg was asking us if we could discuss the feel and visual look of PV kilts versus a similarly weighted wool kilt. Are there advantages to the PV beyond the price, and therefore less fear of harming the kilt? In other words, is it just the fact that you don't have to worry about it? It's cheaper, and you don't have to worry about washing it, blah, blah, blah. Or is there other things to consider with PV?
Sure. PV stands for polyviscose. Polyester and effectively rayon. Viscose is a fancy British word for rayon, effectively. Polyester viscose kilts are great for a few reasons. Number one, as you're alluding to in the question, if you are on a budget, they are going to be less expensive. The material that we get is woven in the UK at one of the same mills that weaves our wool cloth. The density of it's very, very dense fabric. It's good quality that way for us for making a kilt. Material weight is about 11 to 12 ounces. It feels in your hand, like when you actually rub the surface of it, like a very thick cotton. Takes a crease very well. It's coated with Teflon, so if you spill beer on it or spill coffee on it, it's just going to roll right off. It's anti-pill fiber technology, whatever they call it, so it doesn't get those little bumps on the surface of the fabric like acrylic would or like most synthetic fabrics. Over time, that coating will kind of come off, so that's why we recommend not dry cleaning a PV kilt.
Yeah.
But you're right in that it is less expensive, therefore and it is stain resistant, therefore you can do a mud run in it. You can go camping in it. You can wear it to the Highland Games, get your tack on it and that kind of stuff. So it is a good, cost-effective, and hard-wearing alternative to wool. In the lower end of the market, there's a lot of different types of fabric. There's wool blends, there's acrylic, there's all kinds of different synthetics, cotton poly blends. The PV fabric that we actually use for our casual and semi-traditional kilts is the only fabric that we've seen that we would actually want to put our name on. It is good enough for us to put our name on in the lower end of the market. There's other fabrics out there, there's cheaper fabrics out there, but to us the quality just isn't there in the cloth, either because of the denseness of the weave is too loose or something like that. But the PV is a very good alternative, and also if you have a wool allergy, it's great for that angle as well.
Now, I will say from the aesthetic standpoint, which I think was the other part of the question, it does tend to look a little more flat. It doesn't have the same body that wool does, and it doesn't have necessarily the same swing to it. It won't. Your pleats will not look as impressive when you're in motion. I mean, you get that swish effect when you're walking from the pleats, and a wool kilt will always look better in motion, I think, than the polyviscose.
It bounces, it's got a little bit stiffer hand to it. Wool has a little bit stiffer hand and will bounce more.
Yeah.
It's also the weight, the heavier.
Yeah, he was trying to say if you had a PV kilt and a wool kilt that were exactly the same weight. That's hard for me to imagine.
Now,
I think that'd be weird.
I would say this: the fabric looking flatter, like if you physically lay it on the table.
Yeah.
The PV, it may look flatter for two reasons. Number one, the yarn, there's no yarn, little tiny hairs sticking out.
Nap.
Yeah, low nap, if you will.
Yeah.
Number two, if you're looking at 11-ounce wool and 11-ounce PV, it may look more similar because the twill lines that are actually in the fabric, the little diagonal lines, on a 16 or a 13-ounce kilt are going to be more pronounced.
Yeah,
because it's a larger yarn used in the fabric.
Yeah, so
Does that make sense?
It's finer. Yeah. The PV is going to look a lot finer.
Yeah.
So, interesting point.
Think of it this way. It's like if you have a fine wool suit, the material on the back looks much flatter than a wool kilt would.
Right.
And again, lower nap and the fact that it's a lighter weight fabric.
Okay.
So I'm defending PV. How dare you, sir?
No, I'm just saying they're appropriate for different things.
No, understood.
I love my PV for summer.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.